prepare for the title holders as Senegal have been knocked out of the African Cup of Nations, and the jinx hasn't been broken. It continues, where defending champion failed to move past the round of 16 of the African Cup of Nations. The last team to do just that was Egypt in 2008, and yesterday the host nation Cote d'Ivoire produced a stunning comeback to knock out Senegal on penalty shootout. Meanwhile, the Eagles camp is bubbling, but not so much good news as Victor Osimhen and Stanley Wabale trains away from the full squad as they recover ahead of the game against the Palancas Negras of Angola, who has been promised iPhone 15 and other gadgets, including cash prize running into millions of naira. A lovely morning to you, and many thanks for joining us on yet another exciting edition of the Morning Delight on Radio. It is Rush Hour Sport right here in your premium radio, Rapid 96.5 FM, Umahia, the sound of your city. My name is Eval Edu, and I'm the midfield maestro. I've got Incorruptible Sam as usual, right here with me in the studio. Incorruptible Sam, you never say never in sports.
Definitely.
I just wonder how inside Cote d'Ivoire will look like today, because somebody is bound to be roasted later in the day. Many thanks for joining me on the show. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning to you, the midfield maestro, and it's actually very good to be here. And that's never say never, just like what you said. That's what football really is these days. And looking at that picture, the Senegalese players, they were like, okay, what really happened? What really happened? But that's football for you. The Ivorians, remember, they're still the host nation. Maybe something is working for them. Who knows? Maybe the tomb or the
visiting the grave.
Yeah, the grave they visited maybe
of Felix Humfe
really worked. They need to visit again.
Okay, and instead of visiting the tomb, why don't they take a walk to the biggest cathedral in the world, the Basilica?
Yeah, it's still okay. Maybe that's the next
Notre
thing they will
Dame
do right
de la
now.
Paix.
Yeah,
they should
go
pay
there,
a visit today.
Maybe 5 minutes prayer or something, then come back. But really, I least expected. It's not I'm not shocked, but I least expected Ivory Coast getting the better of Senegal. But that is what penalty can do. We always say it. I think a sign now. Nigeria should be careful.
Yeah.
Don't allow Angola drag us into penalty shootout. It could go either way.
All right, and meanwhile, there are reports in the camp of the Eagles that the boys have been training penalty shootout and getting ready just in case it ends in penalties. Well, the Premier League makes a return today with some tantalizing fixture. Arsenal will be in battle against Nottingham Forest. They failed to win there in almost 2 or 3 decades, so the Gunners will love to reverse that narrative and get a victory tonight. But let's begin talking on the sport on the show this hour. Let's start with para volleyball, because we brought you the news yesterday that it started yesterday, and Kenya's female para volleyball team on Monday kicked off the aspiration to pick a ticket to the 2024 Paralympics with an emphatic 3-0 set win over Nigeria at the 2024 African Sitting Volleyball Championship that started in Lagos on Monday. The opening match of the Paralympic qualifiers, the first international meet between both countries, ended disappointingly for the hosts, as the visitors were convincing in their display. The female team from Kenya started the qualifying match in a very emphatic fashion, and they gave Nigeria no chance in spite of them playing in front of a cheering crowd at the Teslim Balogun Stadium. Similarly, the Nigerian men's team also lost to Kenya as Kenya ran to early set win 25-22, 25-13 before Nigeria rallied from 2 sets down to tie the game. The dead rubber game saw Kenya hold their ground against the host to win 15-20. The Nigerian women's team will face Rwanda later today by 4 p.m. and the men's team is targeting their first win of the qualifiers against Morocco on Tuesday by 10:15 a.m. still later today. And the Minister of Sports, John Owaneno, has congratulated Nigeria's men's handball team after they won the President's Cup at the African Men's Handball Nations Cup. Nigeria over the weekend defeated Cameroon 33-25 to win the President's Cup and finished 9th at the African Men's Handball Nations Cup in Egypt. The Golden Arrows, under the tutelage of coach Rafiu Salami, started the match well and won the first set 15-12, and then got the icing on the cake later on. The second half was much better for the Golden Arrows, playing probably their best game in the Nations Cup. And reacting to the team's success, on his X handle on Monday, Waku Athletic the team commended the team for their courage, saying, "I felicitate with the national men's handball team, the Golden Arrows, of Nigeria for defeating Cameroon 33-25 to win the President's Cup at the African Men's Handball Nations Cup. Our athletes put up bravery and always stared down the potential of failure. They're not thwarted by the position with every opportunity given. Our athletes give a sense of pride to our nation, and we salute their courage. Well, volleyball didn't start on a good note yesterday. For para athletes, by the way, the men and women's team losing to Kenya respectively. They will be back in action today against Rwanda and Morocco later today. But for handball, they did make us proud. Nigeria doing a double over Cameroon in the space of just 2 days.
Definitely a beautiful one when it comes to the handball team, and they did well. But from the angle of why, or maybe what actually prompted the volleyball crew, especially the Paralympians, to lose, is because of for me, I think we pay much attention. We pay much attention to football. Be surprised that go to the street right now, ask so many people about volleyball and handball. They don't know much about that. And at this point, you want to look at it to say, okay, this is where we need to pay attention. We are blessed in this nation. We are very, very talented, and everybody mustn't play football. Some are blessed in other area as far as sports is concerned. So going forward, we should now make it. Let's make it.
Try to diversify.
Yeah, let's diversify. Let's pay attention to other sports. To the Paralympians, definitely they do well when it comes to representing us, but we need to support them. Pay attention to anything sports is a big business in Nigeria.
A very big business it is, and there's also a business that puts money in the pockets of so many and can turn the stories of families and individuals alike. But let's talk tennis on the show this hour, where Rafael Nadal's winning racket from his 2007 French Open final victory over Roger Federer was sold for more than $118,000 at an auction on Monday. Nadal beat Federer 6-3, 4-6, 6-3, 6-4 in the 2007 final in Paris to win his third Grand Slam title before the Spaniard moved on to secure a further 19-14 of them at Roland Garros, becoming one of the sport's greatest player. It became the third most valuable tennis racket behind Nadal's 2022 Australian Open racket, auctioned at $139,700, and Billie Jean's King Battle of the Sexes racket sold for $125,000. $118,000 for a racket used to play a game in 2007. And talk about record keeping. How many Nigerians can keep items like this, mark them properly, and preserve them in somewhere safe that 10 years later, 20 years later, they could be auctioned in this manner? I recall, for me, I have a ritual. Every tag I have as a journalist covering any continental game, Super Eagles, CAF Champions League, CAF Confederations Cup, I hang them somewhere. Right, I have a load of them. A day will come out, just bring them out and say it was 2007, 2019, in 2022, and so on and so forth. Sometimes you just don't know what they might. But hey, that's so much value, more than $18,000, and he holds the record in the top three.
Yeah,
he has two. In fact, the highest is him. The 2022 rackets, the Australian Open, $139,000. That's huge.
Very huge, and that's it. Maybe here in Africa we don't actually pay attention to that, but there, they cannot actually auction anything, and it's actually working for them. When it comes to let's take it to football right now. I think Austin JJ, I think he's still in the the lips of so many people. Just imagine Austin JJ culture coming out to say, okay, this is the boot I used or I wore in a particular match
when I mesmerized Oliver Kahn.
Wow!
And when I was playing in Germany,
that particular boot people will rush just to get the boot, especially when he played in Germany. Now he did a lot when he came to England. Unfortunately, he played for one of the smallest clubs, though then Bolton Wanderers. Some of these things, do we even have them? You'll be surprised at Austin George. He can't even remember where maybe he has actually, or where he kept this thing. So these are the issues now. It's a beautiful one that what you used years back could actually be this costly or sold now. The money can actually go as far as helping people. It might not just use it, but come on, let's use this money to help people. Is a big one. And I'm just happy and good to know the person is still alive, seeing himself touch lives, even when it wasn't actually direct. Now, it's a big one actually. Just like what you said, I just wish I would get to that level where a particular stuff I use today will be auctioned tomorrow. I'll be proud.
Okay. And especially when you go for a very big game, you know, one of my biggest coverage, you know, as a sport journalist, my biggest tag is the tag I had in Dar es Salaam. I don't joke with that tag. It's not local. It's an international tag.
Why you won't joke with that?
I took flights to get to Tanzania, and I had to keep that tag. In fact, I don't let any other tag come close to that tag to say he wants to destroy it.
That's the senior one.
I have put it in cotton wool. One day I'll unction it.
Yes.
All right, and just before we leave other sports, let's look at the game of slam dunks and 3 points. Let's talk basketball. Result of matches played in the early hours of this morning. The New York Knicks defeated the Charlotte Hornets 113-92, while the Cleveland Cavaliers got the best of the LA Clippers 118-108. The Boston Celtics were defeated the New Orleans Pelicans 118-112, while the Utah Jazz were forced to down to their Jazz as the Nets wrapped things up 147-114, while the Miami Heat were not hot enough as the Phoenix Suns were hotter in a 118-105 victory. The Houston Rockets were defeated the LA Lakers 135-119, while the Memphis Grizzlies were made servant by the Sacramento Kings in a 103-94 loss, and the Timberwolves of Minnesota defeated the Oklahoma City Thunders 107-101, while the Washington Wizards cast a spell on the San Antonio Spurs 118-113, and Orlando Magic couldn't do the same against the Dallas Mavericks. They did lose 131-129. The Denver Nuggets defeated the Milwaukee Bucks 113-103, while the Portland Trail Blazers blazed the trail in their 130-104 win over the Philadelphia 76ers. So that's it for the NBA. Result of matches played in the early hours of this morning is getting quite interesting as a regular season will wind down. But we've got a few matches to look out for by tomorrow, or the early hours or late tonight and early hours of tomorrow morning. The Atlanta Hawks will be in battle against the LA Lakers. The Boston Celtics will take on the Indiana Pacers. The Utah Jazz will also be in action against the New York Knicks. The Chicago Bulls up against the Toronto Raptors. The Golden State Warriors up against the Philadelphia 76ers. In I don't know what's happening to the Warriors, but they've been so disappointing. Sometimes they record 5 or 6 losing streak, and you tend to ask yourself, what's happening to a side that made many come to love basketball of recent?
Definitely. Well, that's what happens. You know, you won't just reign forever, especially when some of those players are no longer there, or maybe they have actually lost form. You know, these are things we consider. Golden State Warriors, they're just like their name, Warriors. At some point, they beat you, even when they are losing. You see them coming from behind to actually beat you. But you know, just like it happens in football, you know, you reign. It gets to the point where you start struggling, especially when some of your key players must have left or maybe not performing again. So that's what is happening. It's now for them, the owners of the club, to actually get new players in. I don't know how they do their recruitment. That's one thing about basketball that sometimes get me tired. You know, you keep hearing one particular name.
The trade is always quite
one particular name. What if the person gets tired and can't perform again? How do you do your business? What's the transfer window like? Let's see. How do they even catch these ones young? We have academies that produce this, basketball.
Well, they used to do what they call drafting in the NBA.
It's important.
Definitely do drafting
so
in the NBA.
People can gradually come in there, because even if I'm in basketball, I must not be that active every day. I get to the point where I'll be so tired. My delivery, my runs, the way I pass the ball, the way I receive the passes for me will still not be there. So that's one thing I need to know. Golden State Warriors need to work on themselves. But going forward, another thing is, as you're shining, other teams are truly preparing to get the better of you as this the year progresses. So that's what is happening right now. Maybe other teams now better than them, but you need to keep working on yourself. Getting there at the top is okay, but remaining there is difficult.
All right, very difficult, but it will be difficult for us to go for a very short commercial break right now. And we'll return. We'll talk football on the show. Don't go, stay with us.
My guy, which kind of paint have you used? We go make my house go well.
Na Sackloss paint.
Paint we go make my house shine.
Sackloss paint.
What about paint we go last for plenty years?
Na still Sackloss paint. Sackloss paint na ogbonge paint wey don win both national and international award on top paint matters.
Abeg, where dem dey?
Dem dey nationwide. Sackloss paint get one ogbonge wey dem call Sackloss satin paint. If dirty touch the paint, you fit use water water and soap take clean a cha-cha. Sackloss Paint get other ones like emulsion paint, test coat, gloss, sack flash car paint, matte, industrial marine coating, red oxide primer, aluminium, speedy paint, auto varnish, and other barbarous products. For that correct building, paint when you need na Sackloss Paint. Their price na shipping. For more information, call
0701 855 2224.
Celebrating your family and friends has become cheap like a cup of tea, easy as ABC, and rapid like it should be. You can send birthday greetings and goodwill messages on Rapid FM for just 1,000 naira. Other events like weddings, child dedication, housewarmings, religious and government functions go for even less, 500 naira. Now, your loved ones have no excuse not to celebrate you rapidly on your day because all they have to do is visit our website at www.rapidfm965.com/request or call 07049 220965.
Welcome back. You're still tuned to your favorite dial, Rapid 96.5 FM. Umar here, the sound of your city. And this is Rush Hour Sports right here from 96.5 FM. And let's talk about football, where today we'll see a rescheduled game between Yimba and Rivers United in Port Harcourt. A rescheduled game in the Nigerian Premier Football League. And coach of the side, or standing coach of the side these days, Yema Olarenweju, has been talking tough ahead of this fixture. He says his boys will go there to give a good account of himself. The last time he was on the road was against Shooting Stars of Ibadan, and his team got a 2-1 victory against the Stars side. Let's take a listen to Coach Yema Olarenweju as he speaks about this game against Rivers United.
Yeah, we know it's going to be a tough game. You know, Rivers is up there and chasing every point available for them now in their outstanding game so that they can come up there. It's going to be a competitive game, and I think we are ready to go for it.
All right, so coach says they are ready to go for it, but how about the goalkeeper of the side, Annie Henry Ozuamena, who has also been in between the sticks and been doing a very good job for the team so far. He's also aware of the task ahead of them today in Port Harcourt.
Came back from shooting, picking 3 points there. And we know Rivers is not a team to play with. We are all prepared. We'll face them. We'll get there tomorrow to check out. Then on Tuesday we'll face them. And definitely we are coming back home with something. Sure. Thank you.
All right, so the boys are planning to come home with something, and possibly the something should be a point in the bag. But I think Coach Yema Olarenweju has done a good job. You know, Yema has been on the road for almost 4 matches right now, and they were able to pick maximum points in one of those games. In the other games, controversially, they lost by a very narrow margin, and injury worries and all that. But in the absence of Coach Finidi George, Yimba has done well so far, third place so far. If they get something in this game, they could move as high as second as it starts right now on the log.
Definitely, and it's a game I also believe Yimba should actually do better. I think Rivers United, in as much as they have so many outstanding matches, but this is not the Rivers United I saw some seasons ago. This is not the Rivers United that won this league last 2 seasons. This is not the Rivers United that play beautiful game of football, whether they are away from home or at home. Something is really not clicking so much. Maybe because of the home from away from home that they actually using continentally and all the rest. Enyimba, if they play well the way they have actually been playing, very good officiating, I see Enyimba not losing this one. I don't know if they will win, but I see them not losing it at all. Kudos to the assistant manager. He has done very, very well. That is what he should be when the head coach is not there. What have you learned? Can you do the job? The answer is yes, he has actually been doing it. A big game, actually. It's a big game. Rivers United, Enyimba, always a big game.
Always a very big game. Rivers United versus Eyimba, and trust us, will be here to bring you updates of that particular encounter when we turn up for our evening sports show at 6 to 7 p.m. right here on your favorite dial. Meanwhile, let's look at the African Cup of Nations right now. It's getting really interesting and it's winding down gradually. A late Ryan Mendes penalty helped Cape Verde overcome Mauritania to book a place in the quarterfinals of the AFCON for just the second time in the country's history. The game looks set for extra time until Cheke Elwele's careless defensive header inadvertently played in Benmich Chimol, who was brought down by goalkeeper Babaka Niase. Well, Captain Mendes did the rest, smashing his sport kick hard down the middle in the 88th minute of play. The result set up a quarterfinal against either of Morocco or South Africa on Saturday. Meanwhile, the pick of the bunch was in Yamoussoukro. Host nation Ivory Coast eliminated reigning champion Senegal in a penalty shootout to book their place in the 2023 African Cup of Nations quarterfinal following a 1-0 draw after extra time in Yamoussoukro. Diallo opened the scoring for the Senegalese in the 4th minute of play, but Frank Kessié held his nerve to dispatch his spot kick in the 86th minute of play. Penalty shootout, and it ended 5-4 in favor of Ivory Coast as Diakite missed his penalty, the third for the Senegalese. Not many saw this one coming. Many were even saying it's going to be a whitewash. And when you see that in the first 4 minutes of play, the Ivorians were already down, you'll want to confirm that yes, it's going to be a long night for the Ivorians. But they stuck. They remained focused and determined to play to the very end. And that crowd was massive yesterday. The dance was all over. So Solly will be playing Time C this afternoon. We'll turn up for Inside Côte d'Ivoire. So the visit to the tomb or grave of Felix Humphreys worked for them superstitiously.
Definitely, it worked for them. And when I saw that early goal, it was more, I was like, okay, how many goals will they concede today? They're actually going to be, beating Chile again. They managed to qualify from the group stages, pushed, got the better of, won their match, the round of 16 now, getting to the quarterfinals. Okay, let's see what will happen. And, this one happened actually. Penalties, like I said, is something you can't say, yes, I have my 5 best penalty takers. They are going to put the ball at the back of the net. The pressure is there. One thing about the penalty shooter is that from that 12 years, everybody now is waiting. Some are quiet, some are shouting, some are even praying for you to miss the ball. The goalkeeper is waiting for you, trying as much as possible to get you confused. And you taking it, you're now, okay, let me take this side. You don't know whether the goalkeeper will go that side or not. Is, for me, not still 100% sure that you're going to put your ball at the back of the net. It happened, and Senegal, well, the defending champions, people were like, okay, are they going to, win it? But they are out. Host nation, Ivory Coast. Maybe time for us to start paying attention to Ivory Coast. Coming from the group stages, qualifying the way they did, are they going to win this one as they are hosting it? That question, maybe we'll ask more during the Inside Côte d'Ivoire in the afternoon.
All right, and the last nation to host and win is Egypt. I have to go back to 2008 when they did that. So, and they're also the last host nation to progress past the round of 16. Sorry, the last defending champion to progress past the round of 16. So, it's that hoodoo continues as Senegal were knocked out yesterday by the Ivorians. And later today, we'll see Morocco in action against South Africa. Meanwhile, Mali will take on Burkina Faso at 6 p.m. These are also tantalizing fixtures to look out for. And we have plethora of matches in Europe in the Premier League today. Nottingham Forest will be up against Arsenal. Fulham will take on Everton. Luton Town will play against Brighton and Hove Albion. Crystal Palace up against Sheffield United. And Aston Villa versus Newcastle United. Let's do a wrap-up of the Premier League action, starting with Arsenal. Pictures of Thomas Partey back in training and possibly could be in the lineup for this game against Nottingham Forest. Arsenal don't know how to win away to Forest. So last season they were beaten there 1-0, a goal by Taiwo Awoniyi. Yeah. So they must make it count this time around. They do play against Forest right there at 8:30 p.m. We have Aston Villa versus Newcastle United. Aston Villa in the top 3 in the Premier League this season. A win for them could put them in a very good position for the next or the remainder of the season. So interesting clashes in the Premier League today.
Definitely, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest is always a very difficult one. The first match of the season for Arsenal happened to be between them and Nottingham Forest. They won that game
by 2-1.
2-1.
Awoniyi scored.
He came from the bench also. Yeah. He scored. Arsenal fans, maybe they will be happy if Awoniyi is still not fit. But if he's fit, there's one thing about him. He loves scoring against Arsenal, and it's going to be a big game actually. No matter where they are, talking about Nottingham Forest, there's one thing about them: when they meet Arsenal, they want to play a very beautiful game of football. So Arsenal should be careful. Thomas Partey coming back, well, I don't know how fit he will be, but Rice and other midfielders, they have been doing well. But if Partey will be fit to play against Nottingham Forest tonight, it will also be a beautiful one. Aston Villa, Newcastle, that's a very, very beautiful game. Newcastle started the season very, very well, in as much as at some point, they dropped some points, especially during the Champions League. People were like, okay, are they going to leave the trophy? Because I can remember they defeated PSG 4-0 in that group. Unfortunately, they couldn't still qualify. The Newcastle, you don't underrate them. Aston Villa, they have shown how good they are also. So these two sides will make tonight a very interesting one. Yeah, unfortunately, so many people think AFCON more than the Premier League.
And that has been the beauty of the African Cup of Nations. There have been so much attention and searchlight beamed on the continent of Africa. And why not? They've been playing some great football in the process. We had a friendly game yesterday, and it was the merger of the Saudi Pro League and the MLS yesterday. Al Hilal up against Inter Miami. Messi's Inter Miami. And it ended 4-3 in favor of Al Hilal. Yeah. Messi scoring as well, but the Saudi Pro League side edging out in the even goal of 7. 4-3 ended in favor of Al Hilal. Many thought it was Al Nassr playing, where Ronaldo would have rekindled his rivalry against Lionel Messi. But a fantastic game of football. I watched the highlights. Quite 18 minutes, they were down by 2 goals to nothing already, and many were already taunting Messi for the Ronaldo supporters. But it turned out that the game was closely and evenly matched at the end of the day. 4-3 ended, Al Hilal winning that particular one. But let's talk about Marcus Rashford before we exit the studio right now. His discipline issue, is it now the problem of the players or the problem of the manager? He has fallen out with so many players, from Ronaldo to Jadon Sancho to Casemiro. There are few players who have suffered the same thing. Is it now down to the manager? Because every time this thing happens, he occurs to different players, but one thing has remained constant in between: the coach.
Definitely, the coach, and the people hear him to be a no-nonsense man. I think I don't have. I've not met him before. I'm here in Nigeria. He's there, but there's one thing about Erik ten Hag that he should actually reduce. You are the boss, yes. You are the coach. We know you are the coach, but don't start having issues with all your players. Yes, Ajax, maybe we didn't hear much about him because he handled them, because at Ajax there are just few key players. Then the rest will be younger ones. Maybe we didn't hear much about him. Now coming here, people kept complaining. So many players, even the Sancho's issue. Had it been, it was just easy for people to come out, players to come out to say, see, this is the way this man behaves. You would have been surprised. He claims to, see, I have the rights. I think he said at some point that when he landed at Man United, that he was told to bring sanity, to bring discipline. I was like, all these years. So Man United players, they have not been, disciplined. That means, see, Erik ten Hag should hang on. He should really, really hang on. And I think it's about him more than the players.
All right, it's about him than the players, and it's time for us to also exit the studio. I remind you that at 2 p.m. we'll be here for Inside Côte d'Ivoire, our AFCON special on this dial Rapid 96.5 FM. Also remind you, at 6 p.m. we'll also be here for our evening sports show till 7 p.m. Until then, do have yourself a lovely, lovely day ahead. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.
It is 96.5. It is Rapid.
Come on, y'all, let's do this.
It's time to crank it up. Hey! We are turning it up on Rapid FM 96.5. The sound of your city. On Rapid 96.